So as we move into taking a look at the 3-flight option, which is our type 5 that I mentioned in the previous part of the session. So again, go to the palette, select multiple flights, and you follow the same process as you did before. So we're going to select 1 for outer stringer, and then we're going to start selecting our setting out points. So P1, then P2 is the first turn point, P3 is the next turn point, P4, the final end of the stair, and then obviously P5 here to determine the height. So very similar in what we did before, obviously entering the width as well, and this staircase will be formed. So first thing you'll notice, obviously it'll come in and look very, very similar to what we did previously under the 2-flight. So in this case, we're just going to pop to the landing tab to start off with, and we're going to change this drop down here to middle landing. And then under here, we're going to change this drop down to type 5. And you can see with that, it's introduced a extra flight arrangement within the mid landing zone. So let's just come back again. So we can come back to our geometry tab here. And now you'll see, obviously, we've got 1, 2 and middle. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually do exactly the same thing as what we did before. We're going to talk about changing the base length and obviously the height again here, and we're going to do that for each of the flights to start off with. And you can see the stair changing on the right hand side. Change this drop down in here, same kind of thing again. And we're just going to change the height and then the nosing value. So that's the first nosing value, so that's sort of the second flight there. And let's just change to the middle flight. And obviously at the moment here you can see that the length is quite short, the base length, so I'm actually going to make that the same as the other 2 flights. And don't worry, because it probably looks a bit strange when you first do this. And there we go. So we've got the basis of what we need now, and let's just set that in there. So that's setting that first height of that first nosing again. Now at the moment we can see, obviously it's turned the landings here. You've got 2 quarter landings, and obviously we've got a top landing. A field that has become active here is actually this field here, which is actually the horizontal offset at the top of the first quarter landing. So if we change that back to 0, you'll see that the flight is more biased to the middle of the stair. Again, you can come in and you can start adjusting certain things that you want to. So the header on flight 1, so let's just make an adjustment in there like we did before. And then similarly, if you want to make that slightly bigger in this case, so we want to move that over even more, so we might actually make that a little bit bigger in there. So if we actually move that over, we can see that it's moving the flight over. So I'm just going to adjust that again. So it sort of gives the illusion of obviously the arrangement that might be required in the staircase at this particular juncture. And obviously, again, if we look at the top here, the landing, because obviously we still got our landing here, we've got middle landing type 5. And again, we have an elongation value in here, so we're just going to change that and put a value in there. And we can see that we can move the flight back there that way. Obviously, the width is still staying the same at a meter, etc. And if you wanted to, you could just pop back into the stair header here, come to the middle. So now we've got the stair header for the middle, and obviously the height is grayed out, but the thickness field is available. So this is at this junction here. So let's just put a value in there, and you'll see that that increases in there. The final part is obviously to come back into the landing, And if we come up here, we can go to flight landings, and we're going to go to flight 2, and we can see that top's enabled. And again, we can adjust figures in here, so we can make different figures in there. So let's adjust that to that. Adjust this width to 1500. Let's make that project out. And likewise, we could come and just adjust that header at the top of the stair. So we're just going to come in and make a final adjustment in here under this field in here, and we're just going to adjust that out there. So quite quickly you can see that you can basically create the 3-flight arrangement. If you need to adjust the stair foot, the same thing applies in here. So for flight 2, so if we change that value in there, because it's just cut, it will drop that down into there. And the same thing applies to the middle as well. We could change that figure under the height value in there, and you'll see that that will extend down under there as well. So that's the 3-flight arrangement. So that's 3 flights with 2 quarter landings and a top landing. One final element I wanted to talk about, which we haven't actually shown, but there is an option within the staircase to do a replication method. So you can see it on the geometry tab here, and I'm actually going to come in and just change that figure from 1 to 3. And with that, I can actually create a staircase that goes up exactly the same for 3 levels. So if you're in a multiple story building and you've got a staircase arrangement that is the same between those floor levels for a series of stairs, you can replicate the flight and replicate the landing arrangements to achieve what you require. If you just come over into this part of the model as well, you can see the same option is available here, which was under the normal 2-flight stair as well. We did the same thing where we actually replicated the stair here up, and again you can change this to as many as you like and it will replicate the pattern of the stair. So that's very useful if you've got a multi-story building where you've got the same replication of floor levels within the overall structure. And always remember that you have a single flight stair option as well. So if you do have an odd arrangement that is at the basement level, etc., you could create a single flight as well, and you can create multiple macros within the same model, as you can see that I've done here today, and you can align them. So hopefully that gives you some insight into how our stair macros are working for concrete stairs for this version of the PowerPack for Advanced Steel.